Good morning, Year 4. Welcome to your maths lesson for Wednesday, the 24th of February. Today we are going to be learning all about AM and PM. So let's warm up first. So here we are. Can you pause here, please? And can you have a look? I'd like you to match up the calculation with its answer. So the first one I've done for you. And I've used my inverse operations to do this one. So 80 divided by 10 equals, and I know it's 8 because I know my 10 times table. I know that 10 times 8 is 80. Okay, so can you pause here and do that for the others, please? Use your times tables to work out these answers. Okay, and moving on to the answers here, you can pause again and check those. And hopefully, for example, this one, 72 divided by 12, you should have been able to use your 6 times table there and think, what times 12 makes 72? Oh, I know it's 6. And so I knew that that answer was 6. Okay, we can check our answers that way too. So moving on to today's lesson, have a little bit of a think about some of these lessons. What time, some of these questions, sorry. What time of day do you have breakfast? Some people have breakfast really early in the morning, like 6 o'clock or something. Some people have breakfast a little bit later on, but everybody has breakfast in the morning. If they have breakfast, they have it in the morning. And do you know what? If it's not in the morning, it doesn't count as breakfast. So, but we have it in the morning, okay? Is that earlier or later than tea time? Well, obviously it's earlier. Okay, we have breakfast before we have our tea, don't we, in the day? We have breakfast in the morning and we have tea time in the afternoon, evening time. So how do you know if a time is in the morning or afternoon? Well, that can be quite tricky. Sometimes we can tell by looking outside. If times are written down, they usually have AM or PM written after them. And that helps us to determine if it is the morning or the afternoon, okay, unless they're in 24-hour clock, which we'll get to next week. So quite often they have AM or PM written next to them. Times that are AM are times from midnight, so when it's midnight, in the middle of the night, okay, all the way around 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, all the way around to when you wake up, whenever that may be. And then all the way through, if we come into school on a normal school day, come into school, that's the morning, with literacy, maths, bit of assembly, guided reading, all of those things all in the morning, until we get to midday, to 12 o'clock, okay, at lunchtime. And then as soon as it becomes 12 o'clock, it becomes PM, okay, and then it's all afternoon, all through the evening, and some of the time that you're asleep up until midnight is PM. So times that are AM are from midnight all the way through the early hours of the morning and all the way through the morning up until midday, so 12 o'clock lunchtime, and then PM times is all the rest. So that is from 12 o'clock lunchtime all the way through the afternoon and evening and some of the time that you're asleep, and that is PM time. Okay, so when you're asleep is actually some AM time and some PM time. Then what is the difference between analog and digital? Well, I've drawn you 2 little clocks down. I didn't draw them, put a picture of 2 little clocks down at the bottom. So just have a little think for a second. Do you know what the difference between analog and digital is? Okay, so the analog clock is this one here. So it's the one with a clock face, with a round clock face and numbers 1 to 12, and it's got hands on it. It's got the minute hand and the hour hand. Sometimes it has a little second hand that moves around the clock a bit quickly as well. So that's an analog clock, one that has a clock face like that, okay? And then a digital clock is one that has a time on it like this. And you might see a digital clock on a phone, or in this case, an alarm clock, on a cooker, on a microwave, on the bottom of your telly, on a laptop. I can see a little time in the corner of my laptop. That's the digital time. Okay, so those are digital times. So they are just the numbers. They have the hours here, then a little colon, that's called the 2 dots, and then the minutes after it. And that is a digital time. Analog are the round clock faces. Okay, so let's move on. I would like you to have a look at these times, please, and I'd like you to sort them from the earliest time to the latest. Okay, so the earliest one to the latest. So we haven't done lots of stuff on this, but you can just order them in quite a easy way if you're careful. So obviously we're going to start with the AM times because those are the earliest times, aren't they? They're in the morning. And if we have a look at just the AM times, that one says 7:31, that one says 9:45. So this one is earlier at the moment, isn't it? Because 7 is before 9. Those are PM, that one's PM, that one's PM. That one's an 8, so that's not earlier than 7. Oh, that one's a 2 AM, so that is earlier than 7. So this is currently my earliest one. This is an AM one, but it's a 10. This is an AM one and it's a 6, and this is AM one and it's a 7. So I know that that 11 minutes past 2 AM is the earliest one. So I'm going to start with that one, write that one down first, and then I'm going to look for the next earliest and so on and so forth. And when I've done all the AM ones, then I'll start looking at the PM ones. Okay, the earliest PM one up to the latest as well. So pause here and have a try at that for me, please. Okay, so let's have a little look at the answers. So as I said, we started with 11 minutes past 2 AM to 11 AM. Then we had 6:32, 7:31, then 7:40. So this is one of those times they both started with the same hour, didn't they? So I had to look at the next digit along. That one's a 3 and that one was a 4, so that one's first. And then on through the rest of the AMs, and then I got to my PMs. 5:30 was my earliest PM time. I should sort of tea time-ish. 8:55, but lots of you are in bed by then. 9:45 is a bit later again, and 10:13 is the latest one on there. Okay, so well done if you've got those right. Let's move on to the next bit. So I'd like you to pause here, please, and I'd like you to have a little look and think about whether these events could be AM, PM, or both. So I don't want you to write the whole sentence out, just write A and then equals AM, PM, or both, whichever one. B equals C equals like that. Okay, so pause here and write those down for me, please. Okay, so let's have a look. I've got A, coming home from school. Coming home from school, no, you haven't, this section is not in the, coming home from school would be PM, wouldn't it? So, I don't mind that's disappeared. So come home from school in the afternoon, okay, unless we're, oh, I don't know why that's disappearing. Let me see if I can make it go again. I wrote them on before to make it quicker, it's making it take longer. There we go. So coming home from school, come home from school in the afternoon, don't we? Usually at 3:05 or 4 o'clock or something if you've got a club, that is in the afternoon. We don't come home at 3 o'clock in the morning from school. Eating our breakfast, as I said earlier, has to be in the AM. It doesn't really count as breakfast if it's in the afternoon. Having a shower, both. Some people shower in the morning and some people shower in the afternoon. Some people, like my little girl who got covered in paint, she looked like a Smurf yesterday, covered in blue paint. She had a shower right in the middle of the day because she couldn't possibly eat a lunch when she was blue. So you can have a shower AM, PM, whenever, okay? Going to bed, usually PM. People usually go to, unless they work night shifts or something, people generally go to sleep in the evening, don't they? Unless they're having a little nap, of course. So if you put both for that one, that's fine. Brushing your teeth, I hope you put both for that one, you cheeky things. Brush your teeth in the morning and in the evenings, don't you? Going shopping, both. You can go shopping in the morning or in the afternoon or evening. And lots of shops, the big Tesco's by you is open 24 hours, isn't it? So you can go shopping whenever you want to. Sun coming up, the sun always comes up in the AM, in the morning. Different times, in the summertime it comes up earlier in the morning, and in the winter time it comes up later, but it still always comes up in the morning. And then going down, again, it depends on the time of year, whether it goes down early in the evening. At the moment it still goes down quite early, doesn't it? Like perhaps 4 or 5 o'clock or something. In the summer, sometimes not until 9 o'clock, but it's still PM times. Okay, so the sun goes down in the PM. So well done if you got those right. And as I said, there's a couple of those you could have said you could do those in both, for example, go into bed one. So let's move on. I would like to pause here and I'd like you to have a go at writing these as 12-hour digital times using AM or PM. Okay, so this is really tricky and I'm going to show you how to do it, and we're going to have a whole lesson on it next week, so don't worry too much. I just want you to get the AM or the PM. If you find the writing the digital time really tricky, just write whether it's AM or PM. Okay, so for writing a digital time, I said a bit earlier, we have to write which hour the hour hand last went past. So in this case, it last went past 8. Now I'm actually going to write 08 because to write proper digital time is just 4 digits. So 08 and then, or just 8 if you really want to. And then if I count round from 12 and see how many minutes past this is, it's from 12, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So I've got 8:30 there, okay? And now if I'm going to bed, this is the important bit for today, even more than writing the digital time. I want you to think about that 8:30. Is that going to be AM or PM? So do I go to bed in the AM or PM? Okay, and then do the same for the others. As I said, if you struggle to write the digital time, don't panic too much. We're going to come to that next week. It's more about the AM or PM. So have a go and then put AM or PM. Off you go. Okay, so the 8:30 one, I'm going to put PM after that one because when we go to bed, we don't go to bed generally at 8:30 in the morning, as I said earlier, unless we are not very well or what, I don't know, perhaps been up all night for some reason, but generally speaking, when we're going to bed at 8:30, it'd be 8:30 PM in the evening. Now, assembly, I think that one is going to be an AM one, isn't it? We have assembly in the morning generally. Sometimes we have a celebration assembly in the afternoon, but this time, if we look at this time, let's write the digital time, and this should help us to decide, because the hour that I need to put, it's gone past the 9, so I'm going to put 09 and 2 little dots, which is my colon, and then I'm going to count round from 12 to my minute hand here, so 5, 10, 15, 20, so it's 20 minutes past 9. Now, we do have an afternoon assembly sometimes, but not at 9:20 at night. So if I wrote PM there, that would mean we would have an assembly at 9:20 in the night, which I do not think we would be doing. So that's definitely going to be 9:20 AM. Okay, so even if you didn't get the digital time right, if you knew that that was an AM time, then well done you. And then guided reading, I'm going to do the same again. So the hour that hour hand, the shorthand, has most recently gone past is 9 again. It's close to the 10, but it hasn't got to it yet, so it's still 09. And then this is where digital time gets a bit funny because we go all the way around the clock. We always count the minutes past on digital time. We don't do the 2 and the past side of the clock. So we're still going to do the same. I'm going to go from 12. I'm going to count all the way around to that minute hand, okay, in 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So I've got 9:45 written there. And let me have a think again about this guided reading then. Do we do guided reading in school at 9:45 at night at 9:45? No, we do not. So that's going to be an AM time as well. So good work if you got PM, AM for those. I didn't say before, but obviously don't draw the clocks for all of these, okay? Just write number 1 and write the time. You don't have to draw clocks out. And any of the lessons for the next couple of days and next week as well, don't draw, you won't need to draw any clocks. I'll make sure that I don't ask you to do that, okay? I think maybe it might ask you to sketch one time or something, but I'll tell you if I want you to draw it. Okay, so here's your Hinge question. James looks at the classroom clock. It is 12:10 AM because we haven't had lunch yet. Do you agree with James? Explain your reason. So James saying it's 12:10 AM because he hasn't had his lunch yet. So do you think he's right? Tell me why you think he's right or wrong. Pause and write something down if you can. Okay, well, I'm afraid James is actually wrong today, because if you remember earlier on, I said as soon as we get to 12 o'clock midday at lunchtime, even if we haven't had our lunch yet, it goes to PM. Okay, so when we go out to, in the olden days when our lunch break was 12:10, it was already the afternoon time. Okay, it was already a PM time. Okay, and now I know that 12:10 is sort of in the lunch break, isn't it? But it's not AM, it's into the afternoon. So the minute that minute hand gets onto that 12, it becomes PM. Okay, so as soon as it goes donk onto 1 minute past 12, it is the afternoon. So it's 12:10 PM, not AM. Okay, because it's after midday. Remember, AM times are up until midday, and PM times are the ones after it. So even though it's only a weeny little bit past, it's still a PM time. So sorry, James, not correct on this occasion. Okay, so silver activity for today. I would like you to have a go at ordering these times from earliest in the day to latest. So just like we did in one of the earlier slides, pause here and have a little try at that for me, please. Okay, and I will move you on to the answers. The answers are written a bit of a funny order. Sorry, well, not funny order, they're in the right order, but in a funny way they're written down the page instead of along. So if you've written them along the page, it's fine, but they should be in this order. So 2:50 first, then 5:20, then 6:15, then 8:15, then 4:35, 7:20, 11:05 and 11:40. Okay, so good work if you got those right. All the AM times first and then all the PM times. Makes perfect sense. Okay, moving on to the gold activity today. Dora says, I slept from 8 PM to 8 AM. And Teddy says, well, I slept from 8 AM to 8 PM. Who is more likely to be correct? Explain how you know. Now, I know they could both be correct. Who's more likely to be correct? Especially bearing in mind they're children. So pause here, write something down, who you think is correct and why. Okay, so if we have a little think about this then, Dora's saying she slept from 8 PM, so that's 8 PM in the evening, so 8 o'clock in the evening, and then she got up at 8 AM in the morning. Okay, that sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Although she might be a bit late for school. Teddy he's saying he slept from 8 AM, so he slept from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 PM in the afternoon, evening. So Dora is more likely to be correct because she slept through the night, didn't she? Teddy, I guess he could have slept all day, but it's unlikely that he went to bed at 8 o'clock in the morning and slept until 8 o'clock in the evening. So Dora is more likely to be correct. Okay, and moving on to platinum. Well done, by the way, if you always have a little go at platinum, even if sometimes you try it and just think it's really tricky. I'll leave you to have a read of this one because I don't think it's helpful for me to rummage through all the numbers. And then pause here and write your answer down. And we'll come back together in a second for the answer. Okay, so if we have a little look at our timetable, this is a train timetable, and this is one of those times when digital time is really useful for us. So what's his name? Ron. Ron's arriving at the train station. And so he wants to look at what times the trains leave, okay, because he needs to get on, he's going to be getting on one of those or more of those trains, okay. So he arrives at the station, and if we look at this time, the hour hand's just gone past the 7, so it's 7 something, and we'll count round from the 12 to the minute hand to work out what. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20. So he is arriving at 7, so 0, 7, my colon, and 20, and he's arriving at the station now at 7:20. Now it doesn't say, this is why digital time can be really useful sometimes, it doesn't say on this clock if he's arriving at 7:20 in the morning or 7:20 in the evening. So if he was arriving at 7:20 in the morning, so 7:20 AM, he's not going to get on that train, is he? Because it leaves at 6 AM and he's missed it. He might be getting that train to Edinburgh. He's a little bit early, isn't he? He's an hour early, but you know, maybe he wants a coffee before he gets on the train. So he might be getting this one here. So let's highlight this one because he could be getting on that train if it's 8:30 AM. Okay. 2:45 PM. Well, if he wants to get on a train at 2:45, that's nearly home time at school. He's not going to arrive before school starts, is he? He's not going to arrive at 7:20 in the morning to get on a train at the end of the school day. He'd be waiting there the whole day. That's like 6-7 hours too early. So he's not going to be getting on that one. If this is a PM time though, if this is 7:20 PM that he arrives, he might be getting on that 7:35 train, mightn't he? He could get on that one. Maybe he got there at 7:20 and he's getting on the 7:35 train. That would make sense, wouldn't it? He'd be just in time for that one. That would be really good timing. So because it doesn't say whether it's an AM time or a PM time, we don't know which one of those trains he is trying to get. He could be trying to get that 8:20 train in the morning, or he could be getting that 7:35 train in the afternoon, because it doesn't tell us whether it's AM or PM. And that's pretty much, I suspect, what this says. So Ron could be catching the train to Edinburgh or Leeds. So there's the Edinburgh one, look. This is the Edinburgh one, or the Leeds one. So hopefully you noticed that, because it doesn't say here, look, it says the analog clock doesn't say whether it's AM or PM time. So he could be catching either of those trains, couldn't he? Wouldn't have been getting the one to London, because he would have missed it if it was 6 in the morning. And he's not going to be getting that 2:45 in the afternoon, because he'd be far too early for that one, wouldn't he? So, or late if it was 7:35 PM. So well done. That was a bit tricky. I know sometimes we're talking AM, PM, and it's our first little dip into digital time for a long time. We'll be going over digital time for over 2 lessons next week, so don't worry too much if you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure about this digital stuff. Okay, because we will revisit it again. So well done for today, and I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow for some more maths. Bye.